For more information on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com. Also, watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app have an Eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos, and news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. And now to the pictures you sent in by Eyewitness reporters. The rainy season is clearly upon us, and the effects of this is already being felt negatively for some. That is, for an example, is this image from Ikorodu in Lagos State showing how flood has taken over the road, almost submerging this vehicle. Our Eyewitness reporters calling on the relevant authorities to fix this before it gets worse. And the same goes for the second image coming from Lokogoma in Abuja, the nation's capital, where the flood from today's downpour we see there. Eyewitness reporters calling on the government to urgently come to their aid before lives are lost. A third image is from Isheri North in Lagos State, showing this petrol station under construction, which our Eyewitness reporter describes as a disaster waiting to happen owing to its proximity to homes. As also called, this construction was allowed to commence after it was stopped a few years ago because of safety concerns. That's all we have for you today. Please keep the pictures coming. The National Broadcasting Commission has suspended the broadcast license of DAAR Communications plc, the operator of African Independent Television, Ray Power FM, Faji FM, and DARSat. The decision to suspend the license was announced today at a press briefing by the management of the Commission in the nation's capital, Abuja. The Director General of the NBC, Mr. Ishak Modibo, explains that, among other things, Africa Independent Television has consistently gone against the Nigerian Broadcasting Code and professional ethics.
DAAR Communications have over the years turned themselves into a bad example of how a professional broadcast outfit should not be run. In their relationship with the NBC, DAAR Communications carried on as if it is beyond the regulatory direction of the NBC. In the issue of licensing fee, they have not been paying a license fee as and when due. Its broadcast is patently partisan and one-sided and deliberately inciting and heating the polity. Consequently, after several meetings with management of DAAR Communications plc and many letters of warning, the National Broadcasting Commission today, 6th of June 2019, took a decision to suspend the license of DAAR Communications plc for failure to abide by the Commission's directives, the provisions of the NBC Act, Cap N11 laws of the Federation of Nigeria, and the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. Therefore, the shutdown order is until further notice.
Meanwhile, the suspension of DAAR Communications broadcast license is coming some hours after the founder and chairman emeritus of DAAR Communications plc, Chief Raymond Dokwesi, staged a protest accusing the federal government of stifling his operations because of his critical stance about government's policies. Before embarking on the protest at the National Assembly, Chief Dokwesi explained that the federal government is using the National Broadcasting Commission to harass private news stations in Nigeria. According to him, the current broadcast license renewal fee of 500 million naira for network stations is one of such steps taken by the regulatory agency to stifle the operations of private news stations, just as he calls on the Director General of the NBC to vacate his office.
You will recall that in the heat of the campaign period, just before the general elections, At a bond conference in Port Harcourt, the DG threatened to shut down over 100 radio and television broadcasters for failing to yield to the extortion of license fee payments. Since the 2016 licensing period became operational. So I have no doubt in my mind, therefore, that the NBC under the leadership under Modibo Kawu has become very high-handed and tyrannical in its regulatory roles of electronic media in Nigeria. I have it on good authority also that certain other privately licensed broadcasters have also been marked and penciled down for humiliation, intimidation, endless queries, and constant threats of revocations of broadcast license by the Modibo Kawu-led NBC. It is time to rise up to say if the executive arm of government, led by President Muhammadu Buhari, can muzzle the legislative arm, intimidate and cajole the judiciary, there is nothing it can do about the fourth estate of the realm, its existence of freedom to operate as it is constitutionally provided for. This is the bitter pill the NBC under its leadership and various influences must swallow.
Let's get some perspective now to this story. We've been joined live from our Abuja studio by the Vice Chairman of the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Mr. Godfrey Ohabunwa. Mr. Ohabunwa, thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
How would you react to this development regarding the decision of the NBC to suspend the broadcast license of DAAR Communications PLC?
Honestly, for us as broadcast industry, we don't think it's a good development. Reason being that at this time, shutting down DAAR Communication is not the option. We assume and we know that under international rules and engagement, as a regulator, if there's an infraction by any of the broadcasters, I don't think shutting down under this circumstance should be the action. I believe that there are other options that are available to NBC to deal with this matter. You could have fined them or do other things. But one thing also that this has brought to bear or to fall is that it's high time the NBC Code or the NBC Act be reviewed. As you know, the NBC Act is presently in the National Assembly, and I think that one of the things that should be taken cognizance of or should be put in that new act or reviewed act is that there should be room for appeal. Because even in any legislation, in any law, people have a reason to have opportunity to appeal. So if an infraction happens, a decision taking like this kind of decision is hard. So as broadcasting, as an organization, we are not happy that one of us is being shut down, and we don't think it's really necessary to shut down DAAR Communication at this time, considering the economic impact, considering the political, considering the social. There's a whole lot to this, which you know in the last couple of years, the press and journalists have been cowed down, have been harassed in several ways. So doing this now will give teeth to something that I think is not right, not at this time at all. Nigeria is not in a position to go through this kind of trouble now.
This is probably the last resort for the NBC, and you did speak about other processes that the NBC could have explored. What would they have been?
Yes, one is that NBC could have fined them as an option. But shutting down is not an option. What I mean, what do you shut down? What do you gain by shutting down a TV station? And also, you are aware yesterday, they said in my language that a cock crows in the night and a child dies in the morning. The man was yesterday on, and today you shut him down. What kind of impression are you putting out? So I don't think it's strategic. I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Mr. Ohabunwa, thank you so much for speaking with us on the News at 10. We're going to keep it in Abuja now. Ibrahim Adra standing by with more on the News at 10. Hi, Ibrahim.
Hi, Amarachi. Let's turn attention to security matters now. At least 2 persons have been reportedly killed and 6 others injured following a clash between the military and youths in Gurin town of Fufore local government area of Adamawa State this morning. According to sources, more than 2,000 youths took to the streets to protest against military harassment and selective enforcement of the ban on the use of motorcycles in Gurin town in Fufore local government area of the state. The aggrieved villagers say they are angered by the situation where their impounded motorcycles were being used by the soldiers for their errand or their errand boys. A brigade commander, 23 Armored Brigade in Yola, says he is yet to be briefed on the casualties. The police in Adamawa State recently announced a ban on motorcycles in the state as a measure to checkmating activities of kidnappers and other criminals in the state. The Kano state government has asked the Mayor of Kano Municipal, Muhammad Sanusi II, to respond to the allegations of Emirates Fund scandal. In a query signed by the Secretary to the state government, Alhaji Usman Alhaji, the state government hinges the query to the Emir on an indictment of corruption by the state anti-graft agency, and he is expected to respond in 48 hours. The Kano State Anti-Corruption and Public Complaint Commission had indicted the Emir on Monday and recommended his suspension over allegations of misuse of Emirates funds, a report of which the commission submitted to the state government. The Chief of Staff to the Emir, Munir Sanusi, has confirmed the receipt of the query. Meanwhile, the police in Kano have confirmed the death of one person during the traditional Durbar, Hawan Doshe, which held at the Emir's palace. Two other persons were also said to have been injured. The state police spokesperson, Abdullahi Haruna, told Channels Television shortly after the traditional Durbar that thugs engaged in fight, which led to the deaths. The Kano Emirate has, however, changed the venue of Friday's traditional Hawan Urei, designed to invite all religious leaders for a special prayer in remembrance of the late Emir Alhaji Ado Bayero, who died 5 years ago. The prayers will now be conducted at the Kano Central Mosque on Friday, May the 7th. To Zamfara State now, where the Governor Bello Matawale has approved the suspension of the Emir of Maru Alhaji Abubakar Chika Ibrahim and the District Head of Kanoma Alhaji Ahmed Lawal. Their suspension follows a series of complaints from members of the community over their alleged involvement with bandits who have been killing and kidnapping residents of different communities in the state. A statement from the governor's office says the Emir and the district head of Kanoma will remain suspended until the outcome of the investigation panel, which will be set up by the state government. The governor has also asked that they hand over his official vehicle and all government properties in his possession to the senior district head, while the district head of Kanoma is to hand over same to the most senior village head immediately. Preparations for Democracy Day celebration scheduled for June the 12th has remained smooth as Nigeria is set to host leaders from across the world. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, is confident that the event will be peaceful. He was speaking during an inspection of the Eagle Square, venue for the Democracy Day celebration in Abuja.
So far the preparations are going on very well. We are confident that we'll be able to put up an act that is befitting the celebration of our new National Day, Democracy Day. It's going to be an interplay of our culture with military parade, and eventually the climax will be the new Democracy Day broadcast by the President. And I believe that Nigerians are expectant and they will not be disappointed.